we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for the CDBG public hearing. And we do not have anybody here to talk to, so what do we need to do? Just move on to our resolutions then?
He's running the show.
Yeah, I'm required to, my understanding, required to read all of this for the record. Public hearing for the City of St. Francis. The city's applying for 2022 Community Development Block Grant funding from the Kansas Department of Commerce, from the Kansas Department of Commerce under the Community Facilities category. The application deadline is October 29th this year, and with an award announcement on or about, every year it's on or about January 19th, 2022. The description of the project is a street project. The project will consist of using a combination of full-depth pavement replacement, mill and overlay, and keeping the existing curb and gutter in the identified streets listed below. And that would be Whittier Street from Quincy Street to Scott Street, Francis Street from Spencer Street to Washington Street, and Emerson Street to North Street. Webster Street from St. Francis Street to College Street, Quincy Street from Highway 36 to First Street, and College Street, Highway 36 to Spencer Street. Total estimated project cost is $1,081,920. That includes engineering and administration. The city is applying for $600,000 in community development block grant funds with a local match of $481,920. It is a competitive grant process as far as the applications, so it's rated against other community facilities projects across the state. Last year, 20 applications were submitted and 17 were funded. Northwest Kansas Planning and Development Commission had all 7 of their applications approved last year. Applications are competitive based upon points. 60 points towards the need, which is a narrative of how bad the city really does need to utilize these funds. The match, it's a cash match, so you're putting funds towards the project. And a local effort of 20 points as well. This is the community, showing the community what you've done to help yourselves. Must be able to complete the project in 2 years. Construction is to begin in April 2023 and be completed by October 2023. And with that, any public comments or questions? No problem. With that, I need a motion to approve the resolutions. They don't have to be published, and the administration contract and the engineering contract obviously are both contingent on the grant application being awarded.
Dan, we usually do these one at a time, motion and a vote on each one of the items.
Okay. Okay.
So is this the first one, the resolution 2021-8?
Yeah, let me find it here. If you don't mind me using your desk.
Come on,
Make sure I got.
So you calling for a motion on that, Mr. Scott?
yes.
I'll make a motion.
Been moved by David, second by Amanda. Okay, roll call. David?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Cale?
Yes.
Amanda? Dara?
Yes.
And Larry? Okay, that passed.
I have one copy of it.
I just got to make sure which. The first one was 08.
It's just a single page.
So it must be in this one. There it is. 2021-8 resolution.
And you have one copy of it? And I've got one.
Okay.
Let's see.
And you've had copies in the council packets, right?
Yeah, on the
Okay,
shares,
okay.
yeah.
Next resolution is 2021-9.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the 2021-9? Moved by Amanda. Second by Cale. Okay, now we'll vote. Cale?
Yes.
David? Amanda? Dara?
Yes.
Larry? Pass.
Used to work, and most of the time I assist with the Pioneer Country Development side of things, and some of these things got more paperwork than SBA loans.
I don't think that's much paperwork
Yeah.
anymore.
And the next one is, we got the resolutions, is Statement of Assurances and Certifications. You received a copy of that as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just need the signature page on
Yeah.
that one? Okay.
I'll flip these together.
Do you guys all have an opportunity to look at the documents that were out on the share?
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the statement and insurances of certifications?
Don't think we don't need a motion on this.
Do we need a motion on this?
Not that I'm aware.
Yeah, the only thing we need next would be the contracts or the,
Okay.
Right.
um,
It signs up there.
yeah, you're gonna have to sign down
Both here.
here.
Two places.
Then, a couple other documents. Applicant recipient disclosure update. This is an initial report, threshold determinations. Other government assistance provided is cash or bonds of the $481,920 as a match.
So do we need to have a motion on that?
No.
No. Okay. And Residential Anti-Displacement and Relocation Assistance Plan for Housing and Community Development, Act of 1974. I didn't get a chance to go through a lot of these with Justine, but she assured me if we have any questions, we can give her a call.
I think these are exactly the same as what we did the last
Yeah.
time.
She said to say hi. She's, well, you knew she just had a baby.
Yeah.
And her husband has started chemo treatments. So, yeah, she's been tied up with a lot of things. Determination of level of the review, as far as environmental, various street sections, the ones we outlined in the public hearing. And then finally, and this is 2 copies, so you have one.
Oh, okay.
Agreement for administrative consulting service of community development block grants between the City of St. Francis and Northwest Kansas Planning and Development Commission.
Do we just need a motion?
Yes. This is the back page on both.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the administrative contract? Been moved by Larry. Second by Dara. Need to vote. Cale?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Dara?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Passed.
David is absent, just to note for the record.
Excuse me. I came out and did wage surveys of the employees. And I asked Justine, I said, well, which section are they on? She said, I don't know. So I went through my list of each location and just drove around until I found 3 different crews to do wage survey interviews on.
And then, Tyler, we've got your contracts up here next. Do you have anything you want to talk about on those?
Yeah, it's pretty much just the exact mirror of the first phase. Everything, they said earlier, they're all contingent upon award of the grant. The money in lump sum for the design will be $61,500, and then hourly construction phase services is $38,400. If anybody had any other questions, they're pretty much exactly like for the first phase.
Tyler, the only difference I noted when I compared it to the one from the last time was Section H that had to do with the engineer's accounting records. That wasn't on the agreement that we signed before, and that was the only thing I saw that was different.
Which section was that?
H on page 3.
Oh, yeah. And if you would like to have your attorney, they can sure look this over for you if you want to sign it. So I guess I didn't know if that changed. That must have been a standard change. I'm assuming that Jackie made all the agreements.
Yeah, and I'll just note that Attorney Day looked at the last time. It was passed contingent upon his review, and he reviewed it. So that's the only difference from the one that he reviewed. So.
Okay.
There's 3 copies of it here, Scott, that you have to sign 4 different places on 3 different copies.
Okay.
If you want to,
So,
yeah.
okay, do we need a motion to approve the services for Miller and Associates on, with Lauren being able to look at it then, like Mike did, or do we need to do that?
That's up to you guys.
Unless everybody's comfortable. Do you think that?
I have no objection to paragraph H being
okay.
added in. That's actually a benefit to the city because they're going to be record keeping to verify their invoices, and we have access to those records for 1 year after the final bill. So that's actually a benefit to the city.
Okay.
So I have not had a chance to compare it with the old one. I don't have Mike reviewed it, not me. So if that's the only difference, I have no objection to paragraph H. That being said, I have not seen the old one to compare to. So if the council feels comfortable, I mean, I'm happy to review it, but I didn't have the old one to compare it to.
Okay. Okay, so if everybody's comfortable, do I hear a motion to approve the services for Miller and Associates?
So moved.
Been moved by Larry, seconded by Amanda. Need to vote on it. Cale?
Yes.
Amanda? Dara?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
And David is absent again. Okay.
There's, I'm going to have you sign the one for him, and then if you want to stick around after the meeting and do the rest of them. Okay.
Well, I'm remiss, I didn't even introduce myself, I apologize.
And I didn't either.
My name is Dan Steffen, I'm with the Planning and Development Commission. You may recognize my name, I worked for the Department of Commerce for 18 years, prior to going to work for the Planning and Development Commission about a year ago on a special EDA grant project to help them out through COVID review and everything else. It's actually through the Planning and Development Commission, but I spent most of my time working with either housing or Pioneer Country Development. So I'm helping out Justine and Karina so they can stay busy in the offices with block grant applications.
Okay.
I need to sign? I don't know.
I didn't think so.
No. I think so either. I think it's best. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think that concludes our public hearing. Do you have any more to say, Tyler?
Not on this. I'll stick on the phone for your regular meeting for the change order and pay request for the current paving project, so.
Oh, okay. Okey-doke. Okay. Well, then we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing meeting. And so now we will call the council meeting to order.
I think you need a motion to close the meeting.
You're right.
Okay, do I hear a motion to close the CDBG hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Amanda, second by Cale. All in favor? Approved. Okay. Okay, we're going to call the regular council meeting to order. Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting? Is there any corrections or additions to these minutes?
Move to approve as written.
Okay, it's been moved by Amanda,
Second.
second by Dara. All in favor? Approved. Consent agenda. We need permission for clerk to pay insurance at time of billing, to pay utilities at time of billing, to pay utility incentive before the 25th of the month, to pay theater bills when due, to pay payment service network bills when due.
So moved.
Moved by Dara, second by Larry. All in favor? Approved. Sheriff's report, we've got a deal there, so we can all look through that, and if we have questions, we'll have to give them to Cody at a later time. Okay, we'll jump right on down to new business in street improvements 2020 change order number 1.
No. Tyler, did you want to talk about the change order?
Yep, I can go ahead and do that. This is change order number 1. Item A was along some of the streets there was some additional curb and gutter. The curb and gutter that we had bid was 30 inches wide. There were several stretches, so there was 38 or 40 inches wide. And this is just basically kind of make up that difference for the extra concrete that it took to replace that curb and gutter. That was item A. Item B, the construct a flow inner wall is on the south end of Parkway, or at the intersection of 4th and Parkway Drive, where that storm sewer kind of discharges out of the side of the hill. We had built an extra high wall along both sides of that pipe to kind of channel the water to prevent any future erosion and to kind of get it to the street. So that was the item B for that flow inner wall. Does anybody have any questions on those two items, or?
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, if not, do I hear a motion to approve the change order number 1?
So moved.
Been moved by Amanda,
Second.
second by Dara. All in favor? Approved. Okay, that has been approved. So next item, there's application for payment number 1.
Yep, they were kind of slow in getting the pay app submitted, so we ended up with 2 of them at this council meeting. We have pay app 1 and pay app 2. So pay app 2 is the most current one up to date. So total complete and stored to date for pay app 2 is about $896,000, so almost $900,000. The project, I think, is going very well, and JR can add to this if he has any other comments, but I believe all the concrete work is complete. The asphalt crew, they had to pull off for a couple weeks to go finish some KDOT work. They should be back hopefully toward the end of this week or the first part of next week to come back and finish. I believe we have all of Benton Street to do, and then a couple asphalt lifts on Denison, and then we should be done with the whole project. So we did add an extra block on 4th Street, right west of Parkway Drive, where it kind of goes up that hill. It was washed out pretty good, and McCormick gave us a price for that. I'll do that next month's council meeting. I'll present that change order number 2 for that work. So that will be coming. Otherwise, I think everything else in the project has been going very well. I don't know if JR has any other comments or questions.
Not really. The council approved that additional work on 4th Street at previous meeting based on the estimate given, and I think the billing is actually a little bit less than that. As far as the completion of it, yeah, he's on. It's just the layering and the ones that need to be completed. It should be done.
Okay. If there's no further comments on this, do I hear a motion to for the application of payment number 1? Moved by Larry. Second by Amanda. All in favor? Approved.
To sign. There's number 2.
Okay, well, now we're on to the application for payment number 2. Do you have anything to say about payment number 2, Tyler or JR?
No, like I said, payout number 2 takes into account payout number 1, so that total is minus out. Payout number 2 is just the most up-to-date payment. So that's where we are to date with the project, is payout number 2.
Okay.
Like I said, they were a little slow in getting us number 1, so it just worked out that we had both at the same meeting. But otherwise,
Okay.
number 2 is the most recent.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve payment number 2?
Did you have a comment?
I should clarify also that through the Department of Commerce, we're only allowed 200,000 max. So rather than have one request for drawdown, We do one for 200,000 and the remaining balance on a separate one. So this will go in one day, this will go in the second day, because they're only allowed 200,000 at a time. And she asked me to get clerk and mayor signatures on these.
We're going to do those next.
Okay.
Okay, the motion's been approved made by Amanda on number 2. Do I hear a second? Second by Cale. All in favor? Approved.
And somewhere in here, I've got the wording she wanted us to use. Bear with me just a second. There's some wording for these drawdowns.
And this is a copy for Karina or
Yeah.
Christine? Okay.
Yeah. So for the drawdowns, this is how the motions need to be worded.
Okay. So now we need a motion to approve the drawdown for number 1 on the project for the amount of 200,000, and then also on the drawdown number 2, which will be 181,000.
Separate motion.
Okay, we need to do them separate.
Yeah.
Okay, for the first one is for drawdown 1 for 200,000. Do I hear a motion? Moved by Dara, second by Cale. All in favor?
We
Approved. What? Oh, we need to vote that, yeah. Cale? Amanda? Dara?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Okay, passes.
David's absent.
Yeah. Then we need a motion for a drawdown on number 2 for 181,349. Moved by Larry, second by Cale. Okay, Cale?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Dara?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay.
We
Here's-
didn't mention the project number or no? Whatever this.
Oh, yes. Did we not say that? I wasn't paying attention.
No, I didn't mention the project number 20 PF.
Yeah, we got to
14.
make
Okay.
that clear in the minutes that that's the project number.
Okay. So project number 1 was for the drawdown for number 1 is project 20 PF-014 for 200,000. And the motion for drawdown number 2 is for project number 20 PF-0114 in the amount of 181,349.
Then you can sign here, title. And then I would like to go make copies of these real quick.
Okay.
Be right back.
Yeah, Scott, I'm going to have to step out. Huh? Is Tyler still in there?
Tyler, you're still there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just going to go, we got that storm moving in, I'm just going to go to that Spencer and Benton thing I've been so concerned about. So I'm going to step out and see what that does.
Okay, yeah.
Storm south.
They're coming in, kind of almost
It is
south,
a
moving.
wall.
Huge
It's
wall.
just kind of going.
So, all my travels, I listen to audiobooks, so I don't.
Yeah.
My wife calls me and she sees something and panics.
Oh, so 200 miles. Cute.
She's so fearful of storms and me being out late. I've been doing it for 25 years.
Oh,
Oh, shoot, those are yours,
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, where,
You see
yeah,
the
there
key
you go.
switch? These actually came out kind of blurry, didn't they? Two. Okay.
How much paperwork?
Always. All right, any other questions come up, by all
Yeah,
means,
when you rain.
give us a call. No matter what I do, I'm gonna run into it somewhere.
Unless you hurry and get east.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be worse east of here
I
tonight.
know, and it doesn't look like there's,
Yeah, yesterday they showed it all from Kobe going east. And now it's right on top of,
Well, you know what they say, if you don't like the forecast, find a different forecaster.
yeah.
yeah, there you go.
And it can change really fast.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
As long as we don't get any hail.
I know.
Okay, do we have a,
We got a couple more resolutions.
Yeah,
that
the
have to be
resolutions
passed,
now.
And I've got to find them here.
I think that's all I have, right?
I think so. And bear with me here, I don't know where the resolutions went. Hold on.
You out of here?
Okay, yeah. Like I say, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to give us a call in the office. Justine's in and out, but anything we do help out, let us know.
okay.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Drive safe.
Yeah, safe travels.
Okay, bear with me just a second here, I've got to find the resolutions. Holy cow. I'm sorry, guys, hold on here. If need be, I can go print them again. No, I don't know what I did with them. They're not in your pile? Okay, bear with me just a second. These two resolutions that we're going to pass next have to do with the bonds. And Lauren did look at them, and I just don't know what I did with them. I will go print them. Okay, so 2021-10 is the resolution that identifies the streets that are going to be done in Phase 2 of the project, and shows the curb and gutter cost, which for this phase is 0. It allows for a 20-day protest period from the public after it's published. They will get it in this week's paper. I've got to shoot her a text. If you guys approve the resolutions, she's got them ready to go in the paper. So there'll be a 20-day protest period. After that, the last time we did these, we had no protests. I think we had one, but it was because of the curb and gutter costs. So we'd need a motion and a vote for that resolution.
Okay, so I have the resolution 2021-10 here that's going to be on the streets. That will be on our next wave of streets to do. So would I hear a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Been
Second.
moved by Cale, second by Amanda. Okay, Cale?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Dara?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Motion approved.
And then 2021-11 is the one that authorizes the issuance of bonds, and this is in an amount up to $1.1 million, which is what the council had agreed at the last meeting. That way, if we don't get the grant funds, you are still authorized to issue the bonds to do the project if that's what you decide to do.
Okay, do I hear a motion for resolution 2021-11? By Cale, second by Larry. Cale?
Yes.
Amanda? Dara?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Passes with David absent again. I didn't mention it on the last one.
It's okay. I'll put in my minutes that he left the meeting.
Okay. We went through and signed a lot of stuff tonight.
Oh, I should mention also, if it wasn't clear, previously you all had authorized to make out-of-cycle payments for anything that had to do with the street project. So when we get the CDBG drawdown funds, we have 3 days to issue a check. Funds go into the bank, we have 3 days to write the check to get it out of the bank. But along with that, we'll be using a lot of the bond money that's there to pay the entire amount of the bill, which is, hold on here a second, quite a bit, $800-some thousand. It was on the 2 applications that you saw, the total amounts there for Buckhorn, because what we will be paying. So don't be surprised when you see that big check the next time. But that'll come out of the bond funds that we currently have. Any questions on that?
Okay, well, let's move on. We have the Spresser Agency Small Business Utility Incentive.
This is a new insurance office in town, 209 West Washington. I can't remember which insurance agency.
Leach.
And she's going to have 2, herself and another individual working 40 hours a week, so she's applying for up to $100 a month for 6 months. Just can we approve that?
Anybody have any questions on it? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the business incentive? Been moved by Cale, second by Amanda. All in favor? Approved. Okay, the next item there is Wade Crine, trash waiver. Up there at their garden center, I think is where it's at, isn't it?
Yeah, and my only comment on that is they paid for trash service during the summer months this year because they didn't get their waiver turned in time, but it seems like that's appropriate for them to have the trash service while they're open for business and then waive the trash service the remaining 9 months. But they have a trash can up there.
Seems normal.
It's up to you guys.
What did we do last year?
So the last time that they applied for it, it was waived for the whole year. Because that's what most of the trash waivers are. They're an annual thing. And they apply for it because they are only open 3 months out of the year. But they do have a trash can up there. We can remove the trash can, but I think they still generate trash regardless whether there's a trash can there or not
They'd
while
have to
they're
take it home
open.
then. They have to haul their own trash.
Technically is theft of services if you're taking your trash and putting it in somebody's barrel.
No, I mean, take it to their own trash at their own.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
But it's an LLC, so it's actually business.
Yeah.
yeah.
So if they're taking, I mean, it's still technically theft of services. Because the business rate,
I mean, they paid for trash
that sounds good.
this year because they didn't turn their waiver in time.
So for the whole year they paid?
No, just for the 3 months.
For the 3 months?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if they pay while they're in business, and they...
Have they requested not to have a trash can?
They are requesting no trash service, yes. Yes, that's what the trash waiver is. They're requesting no trash service at all.
So we just
Oh, okay, so at all.
pick
Okay.
up the trash can and
We can.
That'd be
Yeah,
done,
you take the trash can. That's what it's there for.
if they don't want it.
Well, we've had other people that have done the same thing, so.
What's the requirement?
Well, it's generally the ones that have trash waivers are people who are using their buildings for storage. And so I guess that's my concern with this, is it is a business, even though it's just 3 months out of the year. It's a business during those 3 months, and it feels like they ought to have trash service while they're open for business, but not the other 9 months of the year when they're closed. That's my only question on it, is it didn't feel like they should get the waiver for the time when they're open, but that's just my thought on it, because they are a business. And everybody else is like individuals that have storage. So do you want to know what it says in the
I just had somebody
ordinance?
ask me as far as getting the trash waiver, and I know there was some misunderstanding clear back when I first got on, because it used to...
So according to our ordinances, if you have electric and water, you have to have trash service. And the waiver is, hold on a second, I can't remember how we worded it. For exceptions for when people use a building that they're not living in, or like for storage.
Chapter 15, Article 5.
Oh, she's found it already. You can read it.
Well, I have it already. I just spent enough time rooting around in there revising it. I can tell you what section of the code book the trash provisions were in.
Oh, I think it's on the back. Is that on the back there? Or up here at the top?
Yeah, it's kind
There
of.
it is.
No, it's 4 or 5,
What is the number?
15502B.
Well, it says they don't have any trash, so maybe they don't.
Yeah, but that would be like you saying, well, I don't have any trash, so I shouldn't have to have trash service, and that's not what the waiver's for. So the ordinance says if you have water and electric, you have to have trash. The limited use is upon written verified annual application being made to the city clerk's office requesting either continuous or seasonal water or electric service to be used solely in the care of livestock or for irrigation. The city, for good cause, can waive the refuse collection fees. Additionally, upon written verified application to the city council can consider other special circumstances that might warrant waiver of the refuse collection fees. So it's up to you to decide what the special circumstances are.
And they had no trash service fee before, at all, right?
what was that
Yeah,
trash can?
They waived the whole year.
They
They had a
waived
waiver,
a year or so
You
ago.
you guys
but then
waived it the year before, yes.
But they didn't get it in this last time soon enough, so.
Why not just pull the trash can and be done with it?
Yeah, pull the trash can. for-
They've paid for 3 months, approve it for the rest of the year, and
See what they decide to do next year?
Well, they'll have to,
That's true, because it comes due in March.
Either way, we'll pull it
Because,
back.
I mean, they've already paid the 3 months.
Right,
So
right.
I say we just approve it for the rest of the year and it renews in March and
then they have to bring it in again come March.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to go ahead and approve this waiver of the trash for the
So,
weight grind? Moved by Cale, second by Larry. All in favor? Approved.
Yep.
Old business property cleanup. Guess we could wait a second, see if JR comes back. We can look at project pending real quick. Anything on project pending? Greg Kite did contact me, finally again, and he's having problems with coming up with stuff, but he's gonna, oh,
I forgot.
Tyler's still probably on there, wasn't he?
I was wondering, I don't know if
Well, I didn't know if he was waiting because JR was going to go check that and
Oh.
if he was staying on or...
And I
Yeah.
forgot he was even on.
I did too.
Oh,
But anyway, Greg's still working on it, but he hasn't gotten very far with it either, so we'll see what happens on that project anyway.
Is that something that we could get Hanson funding for?
Oh, it's possible we could. But then we gotta decide, I don't know what it will take to get us off the historical registry. I don't know what we have to go through to do that. But then also, I think maybe if he's not having much luck finding somebody that's gonna do that, then why should that part even be on that? You know, the building itself, and I can actually see the fountain being on that, but then the seating, if you can't find anybody, we're just gonna have to figure out who we can find that will do some type of work on it. And I think we're getting far enough along, because I think to apply for that had to be applied for sometime here by the end of October, I think. So I think we're gonna miss this year's deadline. And so if Greg can't find anybody, and I don't know who out here can do it either. That's the trouble. How are we gonna get it fixed? So I guess we'll wait and see if anything comes about, because it's gonna get late enough in the year. But we still need to stay on top of it, so maybe we could get something started next spring on it. Get something done with it. So,
I can't remember if Jared talked to Brock at all about that, or
yeah, we've talked to Brock, we've talked to,
he's not interested?
I don't think so. Talked to a guy over at Goodland that was, and then there was a guy out of Colorado that was gonna come down, and I don't remember. His bid was way too wide open. They don't know what they're gonna get into.
Yeah.
It could be a real mess. We'd be better off if we could hire somebody, is it Bauman? Sandblasting in Goodland gave us a bid once on sandblasting it. And maybe what we're gonna have to do one of these times, just get somebody to come in with a good portable sandblaster and go in there and see, just try a section of it and see what happens. Try a section and see how it's gonna peel off. Then, at least then, a guy might be able to determine how long it's gonna take and this and that to give a decent bid on it. So, I think some of it'll be fine, sandblasting off, and then some of it's just gonna deteriorate so bad that it's gonna be hard to put back. It's gonna take special people to form that and put it back. So. Anything else on projects pending? Any more word on the crossovers?
I have not heard from
Do you
Mr.
want-
Baxter, I can reach out, because I was going to follow up with some additional questions, and I haven't, I thought maybe I'd hear back from him, but I can follow up more on.
A little bit later, we don't have to do it yet, but the ATV safety flags, we'll need to get that out there, and that it just says it's ATVs, it's golf carts and everything. Need to have a flag on it come January, right? That's what we talked about.
Yeah. I have it on my to-do list in November to revise the ordinance and submit it for a proposal so we can get it published in December, so we can get it published either late November, early December, and so it's published and effective January 1.
I did have a person that asked about downtown Main Street, where Lauren's got the pot out there with the flowers in it and stuff, that he'd like to see more of that happening on Main Street. And I said, well, the biggest problem we have with it is who's going to take care of them. So he said, well, maybe I can find a group that would take care of it. I said, you find a group, get in here and start talking.
Well, he came and talked to me, and I told him, he said, we need to do something. I said, we have a committee, it was kind of
Yeah.
COVID hit, and then we didn't meet, and we need to get back on the ball, especially for talking trees. We wanted to get some through the conservation district next spring, get rolling on that, so.
It's okay.
Yeah, I did tell him we have a committee, and we need to
That's what
get
I
it-
told him. I said, there was a committee. That's why he came and talked to you.
But, yeah. And that's our biggest concern, is you put pots out there, then do you make the businesses maintain them that they're in front of, and then all of a sudden you have a business closed, you have a vacant building, and then you have a pot not being maintained. And so you really need to have somebody that will, if the city's going to incur the expense to actually put
Yeah.
permanent pots out there, that we have somebody that can maintain them.
And there might be some organizations that will take them on.
And that's what I mentioned to Elmer. There might be, you could have a 4-H group or a church youth group for a month, take it on for a month or a couple weeks at a time, and maybe break it up to where it's not so
They do it at Goodland.
overwhelming.
They do it at Goodland.
Keep them away from the front of my office. Janet will just keep doing it. She's got a green thumb, that Janet.
She does.
But anyway, they brought that up, amongst other things.
Yes. Thought you'd be here tonight.
Well, if we hurry up, maybe we can be gone before. I shouldn't say that. One of them's about the paper again. Property cleanups, I know we need to go ahead and get those letters out on those 2 properties for sure. They haven't done anything.
They haven't done anything? Okay. I have,
Which one?
Be the one down on, what street is that? Down by Mark Mills.
there's one down by Mark Mills. It's
yeah,
on Whittier? No,
yeah.
Whittier, about the dog waste.
The backyard and the dog, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those should be going out, this week or early next week. I try to time it so that way if we need to do a service and a summons, it's not either way early or way late of when the municipal court day is. And since we're not going to hit, there was no chance of hitting the October one, I want to have a review for the November one. So those will be going out this month, hopefully in the next week.
And then that other property that I mentioned that had the pickups on it and stuff. I
Yes.
talked to JR about that today. Did he go get any pictures or
I don't
anything?
have a new email from JR. I have 2. I have a Caldwell property and then I have
Right.
that, yeah.
Well,
Is that the same property or is it a different
No,
one?
this one's a different one. That's
Okay.
up on 4th Street.
Yeah, Kelly Lamprey's going to get another letter.
Oh, that thing on the street?
And the axle that's been sitting on the sidewalk, it is,
I thought we decided the next violation he was getting cited.
well, I've asked the sheriff 3 times to go cite him and nothing's happened. So I don't know what to do other than to someone to clean it up.
When was the last time the sheriff was at a meeting?
It's been a while.
June?
2 or 3 months.
Probably.
Yeah.
It was.
June?
Yeah, well, I bet it's been about that long.
I've mentioned it to Cody,
And
and I've mentioned it to,
I went by one
I
day
think-
and took, I don't know,
I think Butler's out, I'd mentioned it to Butler, but Cody's like, have people put it through dispatch. I'm like, I am coming to you.
I called dispatch once because there was a vehicle parked in the middle of the street and a guy on a creeper underneath of it, wheeling in and out from underneath of it, working on it.
That's a safety hazard.
Very much so.
It's happening up there in front of across the street
So
from me,
I
too.
called dispatch on that one, and then I went by and took pictures one Sunday afternoon and probably at least 8 violations and passed them on to Cody. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've,
I mean, it needs to be every single time they drive by and there's crap outside, they need to issue a citation. I don't know what else to do. I mean, we need it to be cleaned up, but I can't, as the prosecutor, I can't issue the complaint. I can prosecute the complaint, but I can't issue it. And so I either need a sworn statement from JR, or I need Cody to go issue a citation so I can prosecute. So, I mean,
that's what.
I'm more than happy to have him cited, but I can't be the one who signs the complaint.
Sounds like we need to have a conversation with Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because we made it very clear that here's the letter, and didn't Cody hand deliver it?
Yes,
And said the next time you violate, you are getting cited.
right.
And that was, how long ago was that letter?
Oh,
A year?
God.
At
A
least
long
year
time ago.
Or even
No, it was this year.
back in the spring?
Yeah, I think so.
At least.
I think it was May, maybe. I think it was May because Cody was here in June and we were talking about it, and that was when it came up. You know, you guys need to be citing. He's like, well, have them call it in for dispatch. They're driving around citing for dogs off leashes and not. I mean, every single day that they drive down there, that stuff's not moved should be a citation.
well, I think, and when we hired the county, we basically told Cody he didn't have to be at every meeting, but we thought he'd be
Once a
every
month.
other meeting, at least
Once a
once a
month,
month,
yeah.
yeah. And then all of a sudden, he hasn't been here for quite a while, so I think we need a
Can I see that report? The sheriff report?
request him to be at the next meeting, because even on top of that, I know we're going to have one trailer sitting on the streets until he's told to move it.
I know, 2 probably then.
Campers?
Mhm.
There's not one on Scott that's been there for.
Big
is that
one,
of the
motorhome?
What was it?
The what?
The big motorhome on Scott Street?
Yeah.
Oh, on this end?
Mhm.
Yeah. What's the other one?
The other one will be Chuck Cribbs up at the village. He took it from his house up there, and I know a year ago, last year we got after him, he finally got it off the street in front of his house and put it behind the house. Well, now he's got it listed. He's living in one of the apartments up there, so he drug it up there with him. And it's not licensed, it's not tagged, it's nothing, it's just sitting in the street up there. And those residents up there are renting those, and they don't like looking out at the window at it either. So I don't know where he can go put it now, because before he stuck it behind that little house. He got it off the street. So we're going to have those issues and these other issues, so we need to have Cody here at the next meeting, visit about these things.
Do we need to put a reminder maybe in the paper about campers?
That'd be a good.
It'd probably be a good
And on
idea,
the,
because some
Facebook
people...
page and the city website,
City
just
website.
for city ordinance, they're allowed April through October.
I think folks probably have forgotten.
April to October, and some people do
October
forget
1,
it.
right? April
Yeah.
1st, October 1st?
Yeah. And it's been really, really nice until this last couple of days, so it almost felt like it wasn't October yet,
Yeah.
but it is now. So Okay. Street project, I agree. I heard one complaint that, why is it taking so long? And I said, have you ever worked construction in your life? I said, these guys are moving. And I said, they had to pull off because of a conflict with having to do something with KDOT. But I said, really, these guys stayed with it. And they moved right along. Better, I mean, I thought
A lot faster.
a lot faster than I thought. And the equipment they brought in and the manpower and stuff, I thought it went really good. Really did. And I know it was inconvenient to some people. Larry was one of them up there on Parkway Drive, you know, inconvenience, but yet they did the best they can do. So,
I think they did pretty darn well.
yeah, I do too. I do too. Everything looks pretty good,
We
so.
were never locked out or anything like that, which I was led to believe would happen, but I never.
So hopefully they can get back in here and get finished here in the next couple of weeks. Well, let's move
Are
on.
they going, while I'm thinking
Right.
about it, are they going north at the grocery store?
This time,
Mm-hmm.
yes. They'll go from Spencer Street.
To
There'll be
Jackson
2
or
blocks plus the block. Then I think that's it, isn't it?
Just Jackson, or does it go on down to?
I don't remember if it goes just to
Emerson.
Jackson or if it goes down to the next intersection. But yeah, they'll be doing a bunch of tear out there. That's going to be their
Well,
major
listen to
part
the
when they
next
come
one.
back. I mean,
To Emerson? Yeah. Well, they even, because they did the approaches Emerson and, did they do to Whittier or just Emerson?
no,
They did
didn't.
to Emerson, they did to Emerson,
Yeah, they did Emerson,
so I
yeah.
think it goes to Emerson. But I
Yeah.
don't know that it went clear to
So there'll be
Whittier.
4 blocks there.
Mhm.
4 blocks when they start on that.
Mhm.
Oh. Okay, let's move on to theater report. Anything on theater report?
I told Robert I couldn't make it the other night. I have foundations hitting the same
I did
time. Did you go?
I did.
Okay.
There wasn't a whole lot. They are short-staffed. They're advertising, haven't gotten anybody to apply. So they're trying, but they are very short-staffed. Also, I want to mention that the theater employees have been volunteering their time up at the thrift store, and then in turn for that, the thrift store donates money to the theater renovation project. And so far, they've worked up there 3 or 4 Saturdays, and the thrift store has donated $1,244.70 to the theater renovation. So, yeah, I just want to make sure the council knew that they were doing that. And other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of discussion. There wasn't a whole lot going on, but
Yeah, that's what he said, just waiting.
yeah.
Okay, move on to building permits.
It's 3.
We got 3 of them here.
Yeah, and JR said on the one, if you approve them, the third one there for the Ramirez, you might note that there's no fee been paid. We didn't collect a fee on that pending JR's approval because we weren't sure that that would be a project he would approve, but he did. So when you make the motion for that, that needs to be pending payment of the fee.
Okay.
So I was kind of, wood, cement, metal, tin, it's kind of vague on.
But he approved it, so he's not here to talk about it. Do you want to wait? I mean, he's coming back.
I mean, obviously he signed it, so he's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we got the one from Adam Guth-Miller, putting a fence across the yard. And then Roger Neitzel's doing something with carports, taking out a 20-foot, putting in a 30-foot. Brock's doing that. And then the one for Ramirez, whatever, Do I hear a motion to approve these pending that they come in and pay for their fee?
So,
Been moved by Cale,
Second.
second by Amanda. All in favor? It's approved. Well, I guess we'll see if JR comes back. We'll move down to attorney report. Lauren.
So the contract renewal is on there. I spoke with JR when he got back. We had a phone conference about the ordinances and the contract renewal. He sees nothing wrong with the contract as it is. However, Hill may have some input or feedback on it. As an attorney, I can't present anything to an opposing party or an alternate party without approval of the entity I represent, so that's the city. So JR sees nothing wrong with this draft. He'd like to submit it to Hill for his review. They're still working on the audit. So it may be changing. I guess I'm just asking for authority or for authorization to release this documentation to Hill for their review and comment on the contract renewal. And then the ordinances are in draft form. I did submit a red line ordinance, so the proposed changes, and then the ordinance 630 and then 631 are just the red line changes accepted, just so you could see what I did. JR once again says that these are probably going to pend the audit, and they hope to have that done yet this month. He asked about if the fees in the ordinance number 631 had been approved or directed, or where I came up with these, if there was any reason, rhyme or reason to them. And essentially what I did was I took about what is going to be paid to Hill Trash Services, and I rounded that up to the next flat dollar amount, so that way the city is no longer losing money on trash services. And then I just took what the old ordinance was and kind of, as close to pro rata as I could, bump each of them up from there to what they would be under the old ordinance, with the base container being $18 a month, because we are paying Hill, I think it's like $17.43 or $17.48 under the contract once we get the new bins. And so, I mean, like JR said, there's still going to be some, oh good, he's here. Like JR said, there's still going to be some edits to this likely once there's still going to be some edits to this likely once we know, exactly what the contract is going to be. But this is just for council to have for any feedbacks, comments, questions, concerns that you have on this one or the other one.
Are you on the contract or the ordinance?
I'm kind of going over both. I told them that the contract is just, we're submitting it to Hill for his review. The actual payment terms are going to change based on what the audit reveals. Because right now they're doing, because what it sounds like he's saying is either going up to per can or a 5% increase, but we do billing per customer, and so that's going to need to be addressed in the audit, which I think JR is working on with him. And so, this is just kind of a jumping off, the contract is just kind of a jumping off negotiation standpoint. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
JR?
Yeah, I think it should go to him as a draft, because he's going to probably have inputs, even though we're not talking about payment or final approval.
Right.
There may be some operational things that he wants in there. We can take those, but we also aren't done with the draft ourselves, is what I would say, because if he has some input, then we need to change an ordinance with. So, yeah, I think we need to submit it to him for his input.
But will they just
But
send
not
it?
as a final, but as a draft, a working draft.
And that's the contract, not the ordinance.
Yes.
That's,
You don't have the contract in front of you. I didn't print that.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were
I
going
have
to
a
talk
dumb
about it.
question. What is wrapping garbage in paper for?
That was in the old ordinance. So the proposed changes to, this is not.
And what is the current, I mean, how much are they, what's the average that it's going up?
The average that it's going up is about,
I can't remember what we were.
I think $7.
$7,
It's about $7, yeah, because before, I think it was $11.25. Give me just a second, I can get that open here. So the proposed changes, previously, it was $11.75 for a single individual, one individual in a residential dwelling unit. It was $11.75, now it's $18. Residential dwelling occupied by more than one individual used to be $13.25, now it's $20.
And again, these are not improved. And the something we have to be, that we're cautious about, and why we're still talking to Hill about this, is there's the audit, which is one thing, and we've okayed 5%, which would mean our rates, we know they were a little bit behind what we was paying him. We was running underwater, right? Like, okay, not by an extreme amount, but the 5% increase that he has will take that further. That won't necessarily take him all the way to this rate. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but that's not
I know
Hill.
you're
This
judging
is
off
then
that.
what we would be charging customers.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but what we're trying to do is put it in sync so we're not making a lot of money, but we're covering the expenses.
Right.
This may way overshoot the mark by the time the audit is done, is my point. We
Correct.
okayed
That's
a
why it's still in
5%
draft form.
per customer increase for this. Yeah, that's what has been cleared, and that's what is not clear when you audit the thing.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why they're still in draft form. I'm not asking council to approve them today. I just wanted council to see, where we're at and where we're going with this. I wanted to have them, if we can get the audit done and we can get the contract finalized, I wanted to have everything ready to go once we...
Because it'll just be small edits at this point.
Right, and so when we get the new trash receptacles, which they were he said 6 or 7 weeks, and that was a while ago.
Shouldn't those be but here?
That last update I had was supposed to be mid-October. They should be any day.
Okay, so yeah, I figured, when we get them, we want to implement it as quickly as possible. I know we've got the audit going on. I know he's going to have some input, but I was hoping to, the last meeting of October, I'd like you to see this today, so that way, hopefully we can get everything done for the last meeting of October, and then I had everything with an effective date of November 1, which would be that Monday before the trash schedule on Tuesday. And so if we could get it approved, if we need to change the dates, that's not a big deal. But I just thought, if we could get it approved to the 25th, published on the 28th, it goes into effect on the 1st of November. That's where we're at. But these are by no means the final numbers. It's just my rough calculations based on what it is now prior to the detailed audit information, and then kind of a pro rata increase.
So we need to get that contract down to him so he can look at it and get back to us
And
right
that's
away.
operational. Obviously, the operational part of it is
So-
what that part is.
Okay.
Yes.
Because he will have input, I'm sure.
Everybody in agreement with getting that contract to him
Yep.
so we can get that hashed out, and hopefully he doesn't see too much wrong with it, and we can move forward then. Okay. Any other discussion?
JR, do you want me to email you do you email with him?
Yes.
With Hill? Do you want me to email you that with the contract with the draft stamp on it to send to him, or do you want, I don't have his email.
That's fine. Yeah, just send it to me, and I'll just
Okay.
send it across to him, because like I said, there's discussions to be had there. If I-
Right.
Sure.
Perfect.
That'd be fine.
Yes, and then do you have any idea of the time frame when we can get, when that audit, are we looking at, we might be able to get it done in the next 10 days, 2 weeks?
His 5% increase is okayed in going through the billing as it is per customer, right? That was authorized. So the next payment he has will have that increase.
I believe
Right.
so.
Okay. That's the way we're billing currently. We want to get to this point. My point is that
So I think
I'm not sure if I
I
have
think
it done
he
by then,
thinks
but
I think
probably.
he thinks it's per can.
That's what we want to get it to, because then it's straight across. But that's why I say the number's not the correct one.
Right.
Our 5% increase per location is not what we're going to charge per customer. That's just not. It's a 5% increase. That's where we have to come together.
Right.
On the audit equaling the billing. So
Okay.
it's straight across. It's possible, but I'm not going to make a
Okay.
promise.
Right, no, that's fine. I thought that I thought the 5% increase that was being approved was for the new contract. So I did not realize that it would go into effect.
That's what's okayed by the council under the current billing, and that's where we have, and it's not contentious, but that's where we have we're not on the same playing field. That's why we need to get him the draft, talk about those things, get it ironed out. And
Perfect.
at the end of the day, whatever we charge, it should equal a 5% increase from what he was getting before, because that's what was okayed by the council, unless we want to retract that and do it in a different manner.
I thought we already implemented that.
We did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We did.
Okay.
And that's fine, but as soon as you throw the audit in, then he wants it per can. You're not going to get, you're not going to just go to every single can and get that $17 and something based on the audit, based on the additional cans and the additional charges that will be given to the larger receptacles. That's where the audit's at. It's in number. It's equalizing the 6-yard dumpster, which is actually 18 of those blue dumpsters equivalent. So, yeah, there's some things to get figured out. But if you just take that rate and put it per receptacle, he would have a 15% increase. That's not what we okay. So that's what we need to get working on. So,
Okay.
in the draft, we can work forward from there. And you're going to send that just to me so I can send it to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Forward.
I mean, I think it's been sent to you, but I didn't know if you wanted me to put a draft stamp across it so
Yeah.
that way he knows.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do that right away. Other than that, I don't have. Oh, a municipal court is raging. We just got our 20th case this year, so we are on track to have more than 6 times the number of cases this year than we were thinking it was going to be 6 times the number of cases. We're probably going to have more than that. So, yeah, municipal court is. We had it almost full last time. I think wasn't the gallery was
There's a lot of people.
full. So we're plugging along with that. I don't have anything further. Oh, I guess I just wanted, if the council has comments on my proposed revisions, obviously the numbers will change, but the proposed changes to the other ordinances, or the other ordinance.
Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, if not, do I hear a motion to accept and file the attorney report? Moved by Amanda, second by Cale, all in favor? Approved. Go back, JR, we did talk about property cleanups. Is there anything, we talked about the 2 that we need to get letters, go ahead and get those letters out
Yes.
again.
I had further contact with Emerson Street. He just sent me an email today. He's keeping up with, in fact, I need to go by there because I think the actual things that we pointed out other than the soffit, which he made reference to, I just didn't make it by there today, but as far as I know, I think that's the last thing.
Has he got it shingled?
No. And he said he won't until this spring. At this point, probably makes sense. I mean, yeah, you know about putting shingles down.
Wouldn't do much good to fix the soffit if you don't shingle it
Well, and
first.
that's just it. I need to look at his email and go look at the property. I just didn't make it there today, but, I mean, I think the majority of the hot button issues are there, but I need to check status on that. I didn't make it there today. Let's see, other cleanups.
On Whittier, the dog in the backyard, and then
And that, I sent you all the pictures on that.
Right, and we'll get the letters out.
Okay.
We're getting the letters out either this week or the beginning of next, just for timing to hit the November municipal court
Okay.
date. And then the Caldwell property that you sent me additional photos of, that's going out at the same time. There had been discussion of a property up on 4th, was it?
Yeah, that's the vehicles.
And was it the vehicles and there was refuse or trash? Or?
There was trash laying all around there too.
We'll get some pictures and just, we might as well make notification on it as well. Based on what I've seen, I think we should.
Yeah. I took a kind of peek at it, and I think that's, if there's just going to be trash sitting out and about, I mean, I think it's not
Well,
only
there's stuff in that, there's stuff in that one pickup, and then they've got a pickup trailer, and it's got a bunch of stuff in it, and it's all just, today would have really blew it out of there today.
And that's not only that's not only a unsightly matter, that's a potential public health issue. I mean, rodents or bugs and then spread, so I don't know. Yeah, if you can give me some pictures.
Okay. And I do have an additional one. And of course, all of these are, our letters going out are to comply within a given period of time, ask for a hearing in front of the city council or...
Right, they have 10 days to... They have, I think, 15 days to... It's either 10 days to clean it up or 15 days to ask for a review in front of the council, or 15 days to clean it up, 10 days to ask for a review. I'm not sure
Just
which
one
one.
of those letters lately. We want to make sure we've given the opportunity to fix it, the opportunity to protest it, and/or
Right.
the court date.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
If we don't have a response, so which is why I'm trying to time it so that way it comes at the end. It comes at the end of the month, so that way I have time to get the notice. If we don't hear from them or if they don't get it cleaned up, I have time to get the notice out at least 7 days in advance of municipal court. And so I try to time it that their time will expire at around the end of the month.
I do have one additional one that I'm going to add to this, and it's over on Webster Street. It's a bunch of old furniture that's been there for an extended period of time. It's a backyard, but there have been complaints made about it, so I'm going to get that one on the list. It's an easy enough thing to clean up, but it's just not being done by personal contact.
If you will send me those photos, I will plan on this Friday doing all of the property cleanup letters that I can.
And you're good with the photos that you have on the other two?
I'm good with the Caldwell property,
We just need the-
and I'm good with the Whittier property. I need the 4th Street property, and then that, what did you say?
That'd be a Webster.
Webster property? Okay, so those two.
So we might as well, we got 2 additional for me to get you additional information on this thing.
Perfect, and then I'll get those out on the 15th, so their deadline to comply will be well, it'll technically be the 30th, but I will give them till November 1st, and if we have not heard from them by November 1st, then I will issue summonses to court.
Okay, and then we also talked a little bit about the street project that, I thought it went really well too. There's been some people who thought that it's taken a long time, and I said, well, have you ever worked construction? And, they've got, from the way that started, taking out the big trees, and then started pouring the cement, and the trucks and the equipment and the manpower that's been in here has just been unreal, really. So we all agreed that we thought it went really well. And so,
I do too, and I would commend them on dealing with the public in general. Obviously there's always going to be frustration when there's limited access and this, but McCormick's been really good about that, and the subcontractor too. They've come to me with some concerns and had me help deal with some things, but for the most part, they dealt with their issues themselves. One of the problems that comics get wild, they finish one before they move all, keep bouncing around. So it just doesn't work that way. It's good to see the progress. It is a lot of progress.
or why is the approach angled that it should be squared?
Yeah.
That was a good conversation that morning.
And there are valid concerns. There absolutely is, from drainage to, people have ideas too, especially on some of these drain locations. So there's been some good input and some changes made on some input as well.
So the biggest thing they've got when they come back is from Spencer to Emerson, right?
Yeah.
That's 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Of solid everything.
Yep.
So, okay.
And they had a little bit more than what Tyler said on the finish. I was trying to think of what it was, because I just went over
Don't
it.
they have some,
There's some on Francis, there's another layer on Denison, and then all of Benton.
Right, there's
It seems like there's a little bit more than that, because he just oversimplified it just a little
Right.
bit. There is a little bit more.
They got to add some to those,
Right there.
the one streets, and then this one
Right.
over here, so.
And I did want to mention too, on the streets, that additional thing on that drainage, I think I'd talk to Scott individually, but that was completely my request, that a $4,000 additional, and even this just moderate rain, it would have been over that small pan that they had originally designed there, so that was a much needed and necessary addition.
Okay, well, we're ready for the superintendent report.
Well, I don't have much, thankfully. Ward will be completed towards the end of this week. They're going to complete the slack span that we've had trouble with right here from the city office to behind the courthouse. What I did, knowing that I was running out of time, we just changed priorities to things that are more of a failure issue on feeder 3. There will be some some work to complete feeder 3 in the next scope that we do, but it won't be a lot, and we've gotten all of the, what I would call failure points, pretty much covered. Now, I say that with caution as winter moves in and we have big storms, but this crew has done a really good job, as did the previous one. Ward's been real good to work with. I hope we can, I don't know if we talked about authorizing further funds, but I want to just stay on this track with the money being spent on the electrical system. So it is money well spent. It is very expensive, but we all know what outages create. McCormick should be back. They should mow at the end of this week, depending on weather. That was late last week when I talked to them. That's the street contractor, to get finished up, and then they should stay here until completion of the streets. The boiler is installed at the plant. They're waiting on parts. Here we go with the supply chain thing. Everything is there except the flue, so we can't hook it up. We have a cold plant. I don't like that. We just simply don't have the part. So we can't run the boiler as it sits right now. It's supposed to be, I can't remember what he gave me for a date, but it was just a couple weeks out, and that was a week or so ago. So hopefully that thing comes in and we can get that operational and warming. The engines, as happened along, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years ago, we do have the ability to cold start one to warm up the others, but that is not the right way to do that. So we are in what I would consider to be a non-operational state with the plant until that flue comes in for the boiler. The Bird City street sweeping, I'm not sure if I made it to a meeting on that thing. Our street sweeper went to Bird City. I talked to Scott, I know. Was that it?
You brought it, yeah.
Okay. We ended up doing a lot more work than what was intended over there. It was supposed to get hauled back today. I'm not sure if it did make it back today. We'll figure out the billing and the broom and the labor cost on that thing, and they'll authorize more than what we'd originally decided to do on that. Last item I have, I just don't want to forget this, is Brock in the pool. I've caught him a few times as far as getting estimates on the concrete to try to get something done at that east side so it can be completed
And out front.
before spring.
But it's
And
too late to do this out front now.
It is, but we've got to get nailed
But he
down.
needs-
They have the price and the okay and get them done, because we have work on the north end of Main Street that was okayed early spring that isn't done either. So a little frustrating, but I know he moves around a lot, but I don't know where else to go for that kind of work. So,
The shades at the pool,
say again?
the
They're
shades,
down.
they're down.
Yes. Yep, and we're continuing to work on winterizing that. So, that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for JR? If not, do you hear a motion to accept and file the superintendent report? Moved by Cale, second by Larry, all in favor? Approved. Okay, clerk report, Lila.
I don't have too much. At the last meeting, I think it was Dara had asked about the local sales tax revenue and what we're bringing in and what the bond payments are. And so I just created a quick summary of what we brought in last year in the local sales tax. In 2020, it didn't start really getting collected until June, and the revenue was $129,535.32, and the debt service that I'm showing for 2020 is actually the debt service for 2021. So what we're doing is we're pulling the money out. Like for this year, we'll pull the money out for next year's payment so that the money is there to make the payment that happens in March. So that is the $49,625.63 was the debt service for 2021. And then so over there on the right is the balance after that. In 2021, so far, we have brought in $168,894.45, which is significantly, the year is going to be significantly higher than we had anticipated. I think our budget authority is only $157,000. So what will happen with that is the money will just stay in the sales tax fund. We can only transfer out a total of $157,000. So we will transfer out at the end of the year $51,845 into the debt service to pay next year's bond, and then $117,4945 will go into the infrastructure improvement fund. So, and that's the fund that is for infrastructure, primarily streets. And then I also printed out the payment schedule so you guys can see what our bond payments are annually for our current bond issue, and it's a 20-year bond. And so you had asked if we issue bonds, what would it look like? It'll depend on the interest rate, but probably similar to these. So we're bringing in more than we thought we would with the sales tax, so that's good. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next thing is a letter of support. I got a request from Carol every year. The council authorizes a letter of support for the hospital transportation ban. There's no money that we're giving to this. It's just a letter of support. I'll just read it real quick, and council approval, mayor can sign it. On behalf of the City Council of the City of St. Francis, I am writing a letter of support for Cheyenne County Hospital's application for the KDOT 5310 Transportation for Elderly and Disabled Persons Grant Program. Much of our city's population is elderly with many medical needs. While our county operates a public transportation program, it is a first-come, first-served service which cannot guarantee a specific time. There remains a need for additional transportation for medical purposes for the elderly. We hope that you will consider funding Cheyenne County Hospital's request for the transportation van operating expenses to support their services for our elderly citizens. And with council's approval, the mayor can sign that.
I hear a motion to approve. Moved by Amanda. Second by Dara. All in favor? Approved.
And then I got all the grants submitted. Bandshell Painting submitted on time for this to the Cheyenne County, Kansas Community Foundation. The other one for the flags and display, I didn't get it submitted on time. It required 3 letters of support, and I was missing one. But I got it turned in as soon as I could. But I don't think it probably got reviewed at the last meeting. But it hasn't been submitted now. And I got the grant submitted to the Helmslin Foundation for the gazebo. So they're all out there waiting for review and hopefully funding. The Goodwill trailer will be here this Friday. They should be here around noon. Well, I guess I should say they'll be here with the council's approval. Really, truly, it's up to you guys whether you want to let them continue to come to the recycling center.
Everybody agree with it. I know it's a mess sometimes, but it all
The problem has been getting it picked up quickly because people are so rude about just throwing it in, then rummaging through it, and I know it's supposed to be for a good cause, but then finally stacking it at the back of a full truck that's closed. So when they come in a timely manner, it's a lot less of a hassle. If they don't get that thing out of there in time, we end up hauling stuff. Fortunate, so that's the only problem I have with it.
and unfortunately, they are on a schedule, and it's not common for them to be able to come earlier. Like if we request, they'll try, but we're not the only place that they bring their trailers to, and so, if it got full, we can always call them and ask them to get here, but they may or may not be able to. I will say we get a lot of calls from the public here at City Hall asking when's the Goodwill truck going to be here, so it is appreciated. Yeah.
There's a lot of good to it. It's just,
Yeah,
it's you who make it the decent.
that leave it laying there, yeah. Don't get it into the truck or the truck's too full or whatever.
Are the cameras up yet?
November 15th is the soonest. The cameras keep getting delayed.
Darn. Because that could be a deterrent right there. People know that they're...
I can't wait to have that up because there are, and it's funny, in some cases I know it's the exact same people doing the exact same thing. So, I look forward to having those things. When are they having?
They'd like to come Friday, be around noon. I've asked them to call ahead of time so that you guys can be there.
Very specific about where, because when it's too close to the recycle, it becomes a greater issue.
Yes.
Yes.
So they will call, and I will call you. And it'll be here for a week, or they say until it gets full.
Who lets them know if it's full? You?
Yeah.
Or you call down and say,
Yeah.
come get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And really, I guess if it looks like it's getting full, it would be a good idea to let them know. Yeah.
A little ahead of time.
Mhm. I think people have saved up their things from the garage sale, so it may get full really, really fast.
Something that, not being back-to-back from the garage sale to the Goodwill truck, that maybe people have.
We'll see, yeah, I hope so. Anyway, I do need to request, I just got the bill for the boiler that JR was talking about today after we'd already processed the bills. I would like to go ahead and pay it. It's $30,051 for the boiler replacement at the power plant. Just to be able to pay that, probably pay it on Friday out of cycle.
Okay, did I hear a motion to pay the boiler? Moved by Cale, second by Larry, all in favor? Approved.
Quickly on that one, that is not the final payment, is it? It's not total the final.
I don't believe so. We got one previously that was 3,000 something.
That's what I was thinking. As long as we didn't get one in between there, that'd be okay. I just want to make sure that's not the balance. I don't want to pay until it's completed, but I don't think it would be.
Do you not want me to pay
I
this?
want it contingent on making sure that it's not the final balance. That's all I want to make sure.
Okay.
I don't want
Oh,
it
I
fully
see
paid
what you're saying.
until it's completed.
I
It's
see.
just contingent on that. We can just see what we paid and what the original quote was, and if it's less than that, then that's fine.
Okay. We'll have JR check into that, and then if he agrees that we can pay it, then we'll get it paid.
I think we can because it says percent complete here, 80.55%. Actually, hand that around to JR and just have him take a quick look down at the bottom. I think it's just a partial payment. And then, do you all want to have an executive session at the end to review the applications that you've received for the city clerk? Do you want to do that tonight? The other option would be a special meeting for that purpose.
Just one of them tonight.
You have 4 to review.
4? Oh, good.
So that's all I have.
This is fine.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, do I hear a motion to accept and file the clerk report?
So moved.
Moved by Amanda, second by Cale, all in favor? Approved. Okay, council comments. Cale.
I've got something for David.
Oh, okay.
That was Amanda and Cale on that clerk report?
Yeah.
Okay. David wanted me just to mention that he had spent a considerable amount of time talking with Justin Colwell regarding the Empire Motel property. He'll talk about it more at the next meeting when he's here. I didn't want to pass information through secondhand. But Justin has more ideas on some things that maybe could work up there. I don't think he felt like he had been contacted regarding any decision from the council. So I don't know if you want him to come back or just wait and hear what David says.
I guess see what David says, and then we can, and if we think it's moving forward, then we can ask him to come back.
We didn't contact.
I didn't contact him.
Who was supposed to reach out to him?
The ball got dropped. I don't know that anybody committed to it. I did give David all of the information passed on to Justin as far as the council meetings where we talked about it, so Justin could go listen to the minutes if he wanted to see what the conversations were. But yeah, I don't think he said he was never contacted.
Amanda, do you have any? Derek?
No.
Larry? No. Okay, well, let's go ahead and let's review the bills on ordinance 1055 before we go into executive session.
Bye, everyone. Happy
See
October.
ya. See you.
So we were, we do a little case, we get in contact with the automated system, what an arm is. Just record what it is. And we switch things a lot of times based on cows. Cows. And we just, we overbumped it. And they get pretty excited about that. And they sent us a deal saying it was $7,000 a month. We went through and looked at some other stuff. Reduce it to that, but it's a penalty for enough.
Where was that?
What's that?
What was that?
The $1,000 to Department of Water
Oh,
for
Department of
over
Water.
pumping well
Okay.
drain.
Could have been worse.
What's that?
Could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
Well, and it's unfortunate. Like I said, we have it on the calendar when to switch them, but based on when they have cows in certain places, we run the wells because we have to go there for the cows anyway, and we have to change the rotation and stuff. So, unfortunate, we messed up. Ultimately,
Oh, you know what I'm going to do.
when we got the notification sets for 2020, then we got the well, make sure if we can do the switching, mid-year usually, if you need to adjust, it depends on how the year.
You're going to probably want your laptop because I'm going to share the resume.
Oh, excellent. I didn't see him on there.
No.
It's actually really
Because
good.
it was executive session, so I didn't want to share them.
Alarms when you're looking at 30% of your water use.
Oh, they're on there?
Right, that's what sucks about it.
They're on our thing?
She's going to put him on there now.
Oh.
Extremely minute in capacity, but extremely high in right. So it's trying to get the mix of when we have our high demand water. Again, it sounds like an excuse, but it truly is a different thing each year based on where those animals and what the weather is, the water is.
Well, mine's dead, so
Oh.
City of St. Francis
so I shut mine off.
Amount of water rights. I mean,
In a
as
cord?
far as actual water rights.
I have a cord, but I'm like, we're just supposed to be done, and it was dead, so.
Is there any questions on any of the bills? If not, do I hear approval for the bills on ordinance 1055?
So moved.
Been moved by Cale, second by Amanda, all in favor? Okay,
You're
bills have been approved.
Kale me.
Cale,
and then Amanda.
Do you want me to stay for the,
Mhm.
okay.
I think so. Don't everybody agree with that?
I imagine you might have a lot to say in
Well,
Well,
who's-
I have
yeah.
some input. Over there. Hold on here just a second.
And what are you doing reviewing applicants? Is
Yeah.
that what you're doing? Okay. I, is there any reason for me to be?
Not that I know of, unless, I don't think so. I mean, we'd have more questions for life on this one.
I would
So,
think in the interview process, and that's, again, that's entirely up to you guys, because that's completely independent, but we obviously have to work closely with, too. So
Mhm.
it's something to consider, but I won't feel
Well,
left out if you don't.
if you want to stay, that is perfectly fine.
But yeah, at that point, I would be interested.
In the interviews?
I
Okay.
think so, but again, that's up to you guys, it's a department head.
Okay. Yeah.
Bottom line, I don't have any say in it, but we do have to work
I
together.
did just think of this. The other day we were up dumping grass clippings, and there was an ATV up there. And he had it was a bigger sized ATV, a white one, and he was going up those. And then he backed down. He had little kids in with him, so I don't know if he's trying to thrill them or what, but he was going all over and going up all those. And I stood out there and I glared him down, and he left. But Hoagie goes, yeah, that'd scare anybody. Look, but
Ultimately, if somebody's in danger, call law enforcement.
but I just didn't know if anybody's seen anything.
Nobody's
Or
okay to
so-
be up there. It's
okay.
happened before with motorcycles and ATVs.
Okay,
The
okay.
best thing you do is just call dispatch, say, because nobody's authorized to
Yeah.
play up there.
Yeah.
All right. Have a
See
good
you,
evening.
JR.
See you.
My 5-year-old granddaughter would just say, faster, Grandpa, faster.
This is going to be a non-elected personnel for city clerk application reviews, is what the motion would be.
Okay, so do I hear a motion?
How long are we thinking?
There's 4 of them to look at.
come out early, right?
We can't come out early, we can always go back in.
That is
So
Why
we
don't we
could do
give them,
10 minutes, because
20
obviously,
Uh-huh.
20 minutes? Is it not enough?
I'd say
I mean-
20 would be plenty of time, I think. I don't know.
we can do 10 and we can go back in
10?
if we need to.
10,
'cause
yeah,
that way-
let's go
we're just
10.
going to review it, it's not like we have
Yeah.
interviews or that
Basically,
kind of
you're going to
stuff.
look at them and decide if you want to do interviews, who you want to interview
Right.
out of these applicants that you've got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I say 10 minutes and we can go back. I'll make a motion to go into executive session for non-elected personnel for review of city clerk applicants for 10 minutes to resume at 9 o'clock.
Is that what time it is?
Did you get him?
Do I hear a second?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Second by Kale.
Share
Okay,
it.
hold on a second. All right, go ahead.
So, after looking at the applicants, we've determined to go ahead and interview all 4 of them. We're determined a time to do that, which we haven't yet, so, we probably need to do it fairly soon, because they all know that we're going to open these up.
So we get another job.
And, they'll be probably wanting to look for another job if they do not get it, so.
Probably going to need to give a couple of weeks' notice, so I don't know what on everybody's schedules. I don't know.
Do it next Monday.
Might not be enough time.
I don't think that's enough time.
For the local people, I think so. We always do the Zoom one whenever she can get to it.
Well, let's set a date and maybe Lila can contact them to see if they can meet that night. I guess we could set a date of next Monday for the one, to see who can, and we might only be interviewing 2 of them that night, and then we got to set our date to get the other 2, but let's see who we can interview right away. contact them, and then the ones that can't do it next Monday night, find out when's a good time for them, and we'll try to get it worked in.
Is the tech man set up that Zoom deal?
No, that'd be pretty quick. We don't have an account anymore.
You could get them all done the same night if the 3 locals could do it and possibly do the Zoom.
It should be on a later time, so she could be the last one to do.
We'd probably want to do, I think when I was hired, we would do it 30-minute increments, so that they knew what time to be there and it was spaced out.
Yeah.
If it takes 20 minutes, it gives us 10 minutes to kind of discuss and...
So what time do you want to start it?
Well, we start at 7, and we 30 minutes. That'd put us till 8:30, but out in California, that'd be just 6:30 out there.
All right.
So that might work.
Okay. I will make calls.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Dale's up first, Amanda second.